Hi, and welcome to the Sit Down with Suzanne podcast. I am your host, Suzanne.
Bum 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 positively Susan positively Susan bum 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 ba da dum ba 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 positively Suzanne.
All right, so pull up a chair because Suzanne is here. Look at that, I'm rhyming. All right, so it is time to sit down with your favorite podcast host. Let's discuss some things that are happening in my life. Let's discuss some things that are happening in your life. So go ahead. Again, I remind you every week to just go ahead. I really and truly like getting your feedback about the shows that I do, and I hope that it touches you and it's able to reach you. I try to do shows that are relevant. I try to do shows that connects to the people in my life or the things that I see or the things that are happening in the world. And I mentioned that I do life coaching, so I don't discuss my clients, but I see a lot of similarities in the things that people are experiencing, and I don't think it's by accident that these people are in my life. I have mentioned on several occasions that I believe that I was placed on this earth for a reason, that I have a purpose that is bigger than me. I have a purpose to help others. I have a purpose to empower others, to uplift, to build, to make them stronger, to live their best life. So, however I phrase it, I know that my purpose is not about me. It is so much bigger than me. So, every episode, I hope that, you're able to connect with it and that you're able to learn something from it. And I'm going to say it, inspire, motivate, and empower. That is my goal, right? So, have you ever met somebody that was just fantastic? Well, I've had that experience. I've had that experience many, many times. And I have a guest that I'm very excited about that is going to be on the show in January. But this person is one of the nicest human beings I have ever met. And my entire life, people would say to me, you're so nice, you're so friendly. And I'll always say that, I have never met a stranger. And then I met this person. Oh my goodness. I don't think that person has ever met a stranger. They are just so compassionate and empathetic, and they talk to everybody and they connect with everyone. And here's one of the truly special, unique thing about them. When they're talking to that person, they make that person male, female, old, young, somebody with a title, somebody without a title, make that person feel like they're the only person there. And that is incredible. That is a amazing, I don't want to call it skill set. It's just attribute, quality to have, that others, when they talk to you, they feel like you've invited them, that you've enveloped them into your inner circle. So I am so psyched about that upcoming episode. Yeah, I'm not sharing. If you notice, I didn't share a name. And I didn't even share the gender or the industry or anything. Some people who are close to me will be guessing, and you might be right, you might not be right, but let's just say this person is phenomenal. So I can't wait for that episode. But in the meantime, we're going to jump right ahead. The holidays is up on us. It is coming up. I'm going to tell you something. Do not spend all your money on gifts that the kids are not going to remember, that friends and family members are not going to remember, that they are going to love for a few days and put down. I made a decision years ago. I make a lot of decisions, don't I? My goodness. But I do give meaningful gifts because I want people to appreciate it. I want it to last longer. than, the average couple of days. So don't go broke. The bills will be there the next day. Don't go broke trying to make it a special Christmas. Just, it's not the reason. It's the moments, it's the tradition, it's the experience, it's celebrating the life of Christ, it's spending time with your loved one. That is what the season is truly about. So I know I work retail and y'all better shop because, mama needs to stay employed. But I'm just saying to you, don't go broke. Don't sacrifice the rent, the mortgage, or the car payment to buy a gift. All right. It is about you and not just the gift. So, this week, I wanted to talk about getting the conversation back in the different relationships in your life. It's having a technology breakthrough. And isn't it interesting? I'm talking about a technology breakthrough while I am recording on my laptop with my podcast set up, and you're listening to me on an app on your cell phone, right? But I gotta say this, guys, we are losing our relationships because we are so connected to technology and we're not spending moments talking to each other, interacting with each other. And I have a lot of clients right now that are struggling in their relationships because they don't talk. Truthfully, they don't talk. And I do apologize for that. I did mention that I was suffering from a cold and it's been sticking with me and it won't go away. But I am claiming healing in his name because I know that this cold will be defeated. But I meet a lot of people that, yeah, I meet a lot of people that, their relationships are challenged. How about that for being real? Having this beautiful moment with my guests, and I have an attack of the cough. And I can redo it because I'm not far enough in the podcast yet, but I'm going to leave it in because I recorded an episode about being okay with being perfectly imperfect. And while I strive for excellence every day, things happen. This is life. This is real. So, as I mentioned, I think we should do a technology blackout. A lot of relationships that I know right now, they are struggling because they're not talking to each other. Husbands are not talking to wives. Wives are not talking to husband. Parents aren't talking to children. Children aren't talking to parents. And all of that. Brothers and sisters, they're not talking. And I know that it's easy to send a text. I do it. I'm guilty of it. And I know that, we're all on social media. We're on Facebook. It's the age of technology. Technology has gone so far and it is so advanced that there's so many things that was not possible. When I was a teenager, a long, long time ago, there was no cell phones like that. I mean, my first cell phone I bought, and it will tell you how old I am when I give you, back in the days, it was singular, and you remember you had to pay for minutes, and people, it's cheaper. Like, so if somebody calls you, so you would call somebody on a landline and say, call you back. Oh, you don't know nothing about that. But yeah, that was cell phone back in the days. These poor kids, or even the phone booth, you would put your 35 cents in, it gave you like 1 minute. And then the minute you start talking, the operator is telling you to put more coins in. Oh yeah, trust me. So, but anyway, we've come a really long way in advances in technology. And if you really and truly look at how many people in the world, billions of people, even people in third world countries have cell phone, and they spend a lot of time, with it, and not even talking about the dangers to your health to just being glued to the tablet or the computer or the phone, but just what you're sacrificing in your relationship. So, husband and wife, they're at home. Husband's on his phone, wife's on her phone. They're both going through social media. They're not interacting with each other. And the challenging thing, the thing that happens, and I don't think they realize it, that it becomes easier after a while to not talk to each other. And, it happens for a couple of weeks, a couple of months, and before you know it, years go by and you're not talking to each other. You're laughing at different things. And I'm not even talking about, the aspect of social media where cheating happens, where, I'm not even being that part, because that is a different avenue where, a girl or a guy slides into somebody's DM and sends them these messages and things like that, and cheating happens. I am actually talking about the breakdown of communication, because you're using technology and you're next to each other, or you're in separate rooms in the house and you're texting, or, not just getting up and speaking to the person. And I have seen marriages suffer because of this, because they're no longer talking, and they get comfortable not talking to each other. They get comfortable not connected, and they don't realize that until it gets to the point that they no longer talk. They no longer have anything to talk about. And, heaven forbids they have kids or something like that. And then once the kids leave the house, or then they realize that they have no connection. So, husbands and wife, I'm going to urge and encourage you, do not let that happen to you. You need to have a serious technology blackout in your home. You have to make certain spaces in your home technology free. Now, you can start with the marriage bed. The cell phone should not be there. It should be out. You should be communicating. You should be connecting. You should be talking to each other about your day. I get it. You want to, de-stress and laugh. And I am on social media. I post, and I made a pledge to post, do a new post every single day the month of December. And so far I'm doing it. Sometimes I do it in the morning, sometimes I do it in the afternoon. I do it different times, but I'm trying to do it less, because it is very distracting. Sometimes, you're on social media, and what happens is you see something and then you follow this thing, and before you know it, 30 minutes to half an hour. And kudos to those people who says they don't have social media. But the platform that I am on, the things that I am trying to do, I do need social media. So I can't say that I don't have social media and I don't utilize social media. But what I'm talking about is allowing social media and technology to overtake your life, that you no longer have a relationship with your significant others. So you have it in the marriage bed, and that's, you're looking at it, you're talking, you're not communicating. And when that happens, one person might feel resentful and the other will just not even realize it. And then instead of talking about it, you're both on this phone. And with this breakdown in communication, like I said, it gets easier to be apart. And before you know it, you no longer have anything in common. You have to put the technology away. You have to talk to each other. You have to communicate. Like I mentioned, you have to talk about your day. You have to talk about something silly. And I know it's easy to just share, a post about something silly you see on TV, but ask yourself this question, well, not TV, on social media. When was the last time you shared with your spouse something silly you saw in real life? Do you remember those days when you would say, oh my goodness, while I was driving home, I saw this? No, now we are sharing funny memes and funny tweets and, funny things that we see on social media. Again, nothing's wrong with that, but that is replacing the actual conversation. And that is what is causing the breakdown in marriages. I'm not saying it's the only thing, but that is one of the reasons why there is a breakdown in marriage, because you no longer communicate. And if you go for a very long time without talking to somebody, it gets easier to not talk to them. And like I said before, you have nothing in common. So I'm going to encourage you to make the marriage bed a sacred space. Do not have technology there. Do not surf social media. Have a conversation. Talk about things. Um, my dinner table is technology free. So my husband and my daughter will sometimes bring their phone to the dinner table, and I'm like, okay, did we forget? And then they'll turn it off. And sometimes I, even when my daughter is by herself eating at the table, and she's like, "Mom, I'm just like grabbing a bowl of cereal or whatever it is." I'm like, "No, you still can't have your phone. No technology at the dinner table. That is our rule. That is what we do." When we're having movie night, there's no technology in the family room when we're doing movie nights. And my kids might not this love this too much, but I was noticing that when I was in my car with the girls, they came in, the first thing they did, and it worked for a while. I was one of the first person when, DVD players, remember DVD players? Now we have tablet and smartphones. I remember paying so much money for a DVD player for my husband. We were one of the first to get one. Yay, we were very excited. Way too much money. But the kids would come into the car and, would have these DVD players. It was in the headrest, and they would watch, movies and things like that. And now they have their tablet and they would come and that's the first thing. And I deliberately now, when they come in, I was like, nope. You need to bring a book. You need to read. They're like, Mom, the car is moving. I can't read. I said, nope. Then let's do math. And my 6-year-old loved doing math. The 13-year-old, not so much. Or let's talk to each other. Let's have a conversation. How was your day? And both my kids love to sing, so I'll tell them to sing for me, while we're in the car, because it's so important. Again, you have kids, you have to talk to them. But here's the thing, don't be a hypocrite. Don't tell the kids they can't be on their phone and then you're on your phone. But I want to go back to the husband and the wife, because I am noticing a lot of spouses and people in relationship right now just not talking to each other. And I'll see, I'll be, at the airport, or I'll see it. And I will admit there are times that, my husband and I are on our cell phones, and, I try to implement a technology block a lot of times and says, hey, listen, we've just got to get off. But I've seen spouses just next to each other, and like for an hour or so. Yeah, sometimes I have long layovers and I like to people watch, and they don't talk to each other during that entire time. They are on social media, and they don't realize how that breakdown, that lack of communication is hurting their relationship. So let's do that technology blackout. Let's get that technology out of the marriage bed. Let's get the technology away from the dinner table. Let's get the technology away from, your family room. Enjoy moments with each other. I mean, when you're married to someone, this is your spouse. You should enjoy having conversations with them. And if you don't enjoy talking to them, then honey, you got a whole nother problem. So have conversations about stuff. Have conversation about the silly little squirrel that you saw run across the street when you were driving home. Have conversations about how your day went, how this crazy customer, or, wanted a shoe flown in from Paris, whatever it is, whatever you have to talk about, but talk. Don't let the day go by without having a conversation, because you don't let the day go by when you're not on your cell phone. So why should you let the day go by when you don't have a conversation with your spouse? Get the technology out of your marriage and have that conversation. Have a technology blackout. In the marriage bed, don't invite it there. At the dinner table, don't invite it there. And find different places to have technology blackout. Like I said, I just did it with my kids in the car, and it's they're just not doing it. And they might not be happy with it, but I'm like, it's a book. We're gonna talk, or you're gonna sing. And again, don't be a hypocrite about it. So spouses, I'm just gonna encourage you. People in relationship, I'm gonna encourage you. Shut your phone down, get off social media, talk to each other, interact with each other. I know this. I know it will help. Um, I know somebody who is going through something and they're starting to realize how much technology has impacted and hurt their relationship, and they're looking to turn that around. So I'm hoping the same thing for you. Mothers, fathers, you're raising kids. You need to also do that to ensure that they're having conversation with you, and not everything that they watch online is appropriate to watch. Sometimes you have to monitor that and talk to them. Get off your cell phone so that they can see that there's life outside of the cell phone. It's winter now, so it's harder to go outside. And my kids wanted a sled, and I bought them a sled, and they're like, Mom, we know you're not going to go on it. And they know their mom. I'm not going to go on that sled. And if I do go on it, I'll share that with you. But just try to find things to do that does not include technology. And there are great advances in technology, like I mentioned, but it is hurting our relationship. It is hurting the family, not only the spouse, the marital relationship. It is hurt in the parent and child relationship. It is hurt in the sibling relationship. It is hurt in the friends relationship. I'll see friends hanging out and a whole bunch of them, and they're all on their phones. How are you hanging out if you're on your phone? And I will admit, I am not perfect. I'm perfectly imperfect. And there has been times when, I'm hanging with somebody, and then, you'll get an alert and you look at it. And the thing with some things, when you look at it, sometimes you're distracted and you end up spending a lot longer than you should have. So I will try to silence it or turn the volume down and give the person that I am with the pleasure of my company. And I hope they do the same. There's nothing more frustrating, or something that says to me that you don't value my time if I'm hanging out with you and you're on your phone the entire time. I will tell you that I'll be very hard pressed to hang out with you the next time. The good thing is that I'm not shy. So I will say to you, okay, are you going to get off that phone? But we've got to do better. We've got to do a technology blackout. I believe it is fundamentally one of the main reasons there's such a breakdown in family relation, why family are fractured, why they're shattered, because we just don't talk. We don't know what's going on in each other's lives, and I have friends sometimes, and I haven't called them for a while. And then, I'll see them on social media. And then I was like, wait a minute, I haven't actually spoken to this person in a very long time. And then I'll reach out to them because social media also gives you the illusion that you're interacting, but you're not. Yeah, you can tweet a LeBron or whoever, and they can respond back to you, but that's not a connection. So it's the same thing with your friends. You do like their posts, and my previous thing talked about liking posts and things like that. And you think that you're connecting with them, and you'll see the things that is happening in their life, but you're not a part of it. It's like you're outside the window looking in. I don't want to be an observer in my own life. You should not be an observer in your own life. So go ahead and pick up the phone and call your friend and says, hey, I haven't spoken to you in a while. How are you doing? Pick up the phone and call a loved one and says, I haven't spoken to you in a while. How are you doing? A lot of times somebody will reach out to someone and is like, yeah, I saw you on Facebook. And I said, yep, I'm there. I saw you on Instagram. Yep, I'm there. but I still want that connection. I still want that personal connection. It could just be me because I love to talk, but I want you to do something this week. When you're hanging out with somebody, put the phone away, black out that moment, and just sit with the person and hang out. And you'll realize how funny that person is, how witty they are, and the things that you miss. And yeah, it's cute to look at your phone and share, funny posts back and forth, but put it away. I am telling you, it is destroying your relationship. There are great things you can do with technology, but do a technology blackout for your sake, for the sake of your marriage, for the sake of your relationship with your kids, with your friends, with your family. And it's fun. When we do, like, so we're at the dinner table and we don't have the technology there. So my daughter, Sophia Grace, she prays for her meal. And I don't know if I've mentioned this before, but when that girl prays for that meal, if you're hungry, you're going to be hungry just a little longer. And my husband and my other daughter, they are giggling. And I'm like, cut it out. Because she is praying, and Lord, she's praying for the homeless and the hungry and people who doesn't have food to eat. And she's just a prayer warrior. She's always been a prayer. God, I thank you for that child. And, so she's always praying, and we're sitting there, and then she's like, and how was your day at work? That's one of her favorite things. She loves to ask, how was my day at work, or how everybody's day at work? And, we just talk about the day, and she'll ask about my boss. So she always asks about my boss. And she was like, was your boss nice to you? And, things like that. And we just have these conversations. Like, it's silly. My girls are just fantastic. Funny story, like, just to jump off topic for a second. My older daughter decided that she wants to learn how to cook. And she's been doing little things. And then the other day, I was doing homework and I was running late. So I had picked up steak because my husband had wanted steak. And she had actually given me the ingredients. She wanted steak and Worcestershire sauce and all these things. And she was going to make. So she was going to make steak and seasoned red potatoes. So she came and she asked me how to make the seasoned red potatoes, and I gave her, what to do and things like that. And she made it, and my husband loved the food. So the 6-year-old, God bless her for her honesty, said to her, I guess she said the steak was dry. Oh, goodness gracious. She was so devastated. She was like, no, you're not eating my steak. You're not you're not Gordon Ramsay. Now she loves cooking shows. She watches Gordon Ramsay. She's like, how are you going to say my steak is dry? You're not Gordon Ramsay. Like, she was so offended that this little girl thought her steak was dry. And her sister was just so honest. She's like, your steak is dry. Dad said the steak wasn't dry. Dad loved the steak, but it was hilarious. Anyway, but those are the moments that you miss when you are so tuned into technology. I was doing homework and I was just listening, and she was just, like I said, very, very brutally honest about it. She's like, nope, your steak is dry. But anyway, so I hope that this episode will encourage you to put the phone down, put the tablet down, and, and if you're just spend some time with yourself, even when you're by yourself, do like a technology breakout, or do a technology blackout. Maybe I'm thinking of Prison Break, and just put the phone away and just spend that moment reflecting and thinking about the things that you want to do, that you plan to do. We're so focused on being busy, and I talk a lot about being productive versus being busy, that we feel like we have to be doing something at all times. There is nothing wrong with just simply unplugging, de-stressing, sitting still for a moment, and just being. I don't get as many of those moments as I want, but I'm working on having more and spending that time with myself, reflecting and planning on thinking about 2020. What am I going to do for 2020? But I'm just, as I listen to people and I give them advice and I even look at my own life and I see things around me, I just see the dangers and the effect that happens to families when they're just so technology focused. Like I said, amazing, great things because of the benefits of technology. But think about what you're losing. What can you do? Be mindful off the time that you spend with your smart devices, and it's not that smart, and spend some times with your loved one, just talking, asking about how your day was, and just talking about silly things. I'm not an outdoor girl, but the kids always try to get me to go outside, and maybe for 2020, that will be me. I will try something different. There is a show, there's a podcast, there's these lovely ladies that I met that I had the most interesting conversation with in when I was at the She podcast. So their show is called Losing Your V, and it is about, so they'd use the term virginity, and I hope nobody's offended by this, but virginity in reference to doing something new, doing something for the first time. And in it, they try to do a different thing. So my goal next year is to do different things. Like this year, I started a podcast, right? So, what am I going to do different for 2020? Am I going to start being an outdoor person? Although I did do a few outdoor things last year. My friends were all giggling and laughing at me. They didn't believe that I did it, but I did. For 2020, I'm going to be more mindful also. And actually, I started it way before, but I'm just going to continue to be more mindful of just technology and how I allow it to interact with me, how I interact with it, and what I allow it to take from me. So I will utilize it to do what I need to do. But I will also realize the importance of family and the importance of doing what I need to do to ensure that my marriage is safe. Well, I want to say safe. Safe sounds like a car. My marriage is fantastic. I have a great marriage, but it takes work. It doesn't just happen overnight. You have to communicate. You have to talk to each other. My relationship with my kids, it's fantastic. We talk to each other. There are times when they might not want to talk to me. They'd prefer to be on their smart devices, but I learn so much from them, just from actually listening to them, just from actually talking to them. My relationship with my friends, I'm definitely more mindful to reach out to them and to call them. And if I reach out to somebody and they're not following up, that's okay. If they just want to have a social media relationship, that's okay too. But for me personally, relationships are important. So that is my wish for you. And if you follow me on any social media forum, you notice like most of my posts talk about encouragement, and I want to encourage you. So I will encourage you to go on a technology blackout, get the communication back in your life, in your relationships, whatever relationships those are, because it is very, very important that you have those relationships. So that is it about technology blackout and just restoring the relationships in your life for that week. I'm going to continue to talk about the upcoming holiday. I'm going to continue to talk about the upcoming new decade, just the many different things that I'm hoping to do, that I'm planning to do. Um, And I'm actually graduating next year in 2020. I'm so excited by that because I have a ton of homework and I can't do as much as I want to do because there's actually some things that I want to start. But because I just don't want to take something else on that I can't do to the best of my abilities, I'm going to finish. But I'm so excited. I'll be graduating next year. And then who knows, all that free time, I'm going to get my nights back. Holla! I know what I'm going to do with that. So that's to my friend. She is going to die when she hears me say that. But anyway, but yeah, 2020, I'm looking forward to it. But before that can happen, I'm going to enjoy every moment of December, celebrating, planning. I already got the Christmas tree up. I already bought my family PJs, but I don't really like them. So I'm still on the hunt for something else. But I have a backup just in case. This is serious business, okay? I do the family PJs. I've been doing this for a very, very long time. There's an art form to this. So it has to perfectly reflect the mood that I am in, that my feeling for the season. Oh my goodness. So anyway, so I have that. I already have my ugly sweaters. I have my Monopoly. I already have my Christmas mugs, and I need to buy the right hot chocolate because you got to have the hot chocolate in your Christmas mug. And my mug says Jesus is the reason for the season. Yay. So anyway, looking forward to a lot of things, but I hope you got a chance to listen to this show. I hope that you were inspired, empowered, and motivated. And I want you to share this show, this episode. And if I'm talking to you, I'm talking to you. And I know that I'm talking to you because I have been there where I was allowing technology to take up so much of my life. And it's still a work in progress. No, by no means is it perfect, but I am learning more and more how to unplug, unwind, and just be. So until the next episode, this is Suzanne said, it was fun sitting down and chatting with you. I can't wait to one day have you in my chair. And if I'm talking to you, I'm talking to you. So write into me at Suzanne at positivelysuzanne.com to find out how you can be a guest on the podcast. And we will discuss life. We'll talk about the everyday things that happen in life, from the ordinary, which will turn out to be extraordinary, to the things that are extraordinary that will turn out to be incredible. So until next time, this is Suzanne signing off and saying ta-ta.